guys, well, remember Copilot Plus? It was that big thing Microsoft was trying to roll out where there would be a bunch of PCs that had AI technology built into them so that Windows could utilize certain AI features. Well, it's been a little while and we haven't really heard much about it since. Especially one specific feature, Microsoft Windows Recall. Windows Recall was supposed to be this big thing that allowed you to effectively get what is an equivalent to browser history, but for your entire computer. And it utilizes AI to give, enhanced contextual descriptions as to what was going on the computer at the time. It was going to release alongside Copilot Plus PCs, but that inevitably ended up just getting canned and pushed off until later that year. And then it got pushed again due to security concerns for the most part. Apparently, Microsoft is actually about to launch it for real this time, so we're going to go ahead and cover it in today's video. Let's get right into it. Okay, so we're going to start off with this article by The Verge. Microsoft is about to launch Recall for real this time. The long-delayed feature will begin gradually rolling out to Windows insiders. So Microsoft is starting to gradually roll out a preview of Recall. It's features that captures screenshots of what you do on a Copilot Plus PC. Not every PC, but ones that have the specific AI features that Microsoft is looking for and ones that have been like Microsoft approved for this to find again later to specifically Windows insiders. So this isn't a wide rollout, just for beta testers, basically. The new rollout could indicate that Microsoft is finally getting close to launching it more widely. Again, Microsoft originally intended to launch the feature alongside Copilot Plus PCs last June, but the feature was delayed following concerns raised by security experts. And honestly, the concerns were pretty valid. We'll go ahead and get into that in a minute. The company then planned to launch it in October, but then that got pushed as well because Microsoft said, we wanted to provide a secure and trusted experience. And, well, I guess I don't necessarily blame them because the first time they were going to release it, it was really, really scuffed. That's the only good way of putting it. It was really bad. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at what the security issues were, because as this article here says, it is basically a security disaster. At least it was. Hopefully, Microsoft fixed the issues. But back then, it was definitely a disaster. So, all things considered, what was going on and the way Recall worked at the time is that it would every few seconds take screenshots of your device, and then the screenshots use optical character recognition, which is basically a technology to see written characters and then figure out what everything on this photograph or piece of paper or whatever says. And so the computer takes the text that's on the screenshot and then runs it through an AI model that's running on your own device. And then what ends up happening, or at least at the time, what ended up happening is it would write it to an SQL-Lite database on the user's folder, which, if you don't know what that means, basically it just writes it to your hard disk and saves it there, which you think would be kind of tame by default, except it was all in plain text. There was no encryption, there was no nothing going on. No obfuscation, no encryption, no security. Everything was in plain text, plain as day. Meaning that if anybody had access to your computer, they could effectively receive what was your entire history of what's going on the computer in plain text. They can just exfiltrate it, read it, and then that's it. That's not a good thing! So, as you might be able to recognize, that is a flaw. Simply put, that is a problem. Microsoft, even though they had promised a secure and encrypted experience, didn't really follow through with that initially. So, people took to Twitter, as most people do nowadays. They took to Twitter and said, hey, this is a problem. If you get malware on your computer, now attackers will be able to see everything you do. This is an issue. And they were also planning to enable it by default, which makes it even worse. The fact that it wasn't even an opt in feature at the time, it was just default, which is a problem. It's a bad, bad problem. So people were rightfully upset. And then Microsoft kind of how do I call it? How do I call it? Microsoft kind of calmed down and was like, "Oh, okay, maybe this is a bad idea." And then they kind of became quiet about it. And then they said, "We're going to release it." And then they became quiet about it again. And was like, "No, we're actually not going to release it. We still need more time to work on it." Now, supposedly, they're actually going to try to release it. And this time, if you look at my screen over here, it's supposed to be opt-in. So, in the blog post that they released, Microsoft is saying that you now have to manually opt into this and you can pause saving them at any time, which is good because originally it was going to be a default feature that was enabled by default. Now, not only ignoring the previous security issues with recall way back when, which supposedly have been fixed now. It doesn't save it to plain text anymore, which is a good thing. But ignoring the past security flaws with recall, is it even a good idea in the first place? Is it a good idea, or is it even necessarily wanted by most people to have an AI model, local or not, running on your computer that always sees what you're doing until you manually go out of your way to pause it, which maybe you might forget to do, and has a on disk, encrypted or not, because any encryption can technically be broken, an on disk record of every single thing you've been doing on that computer up until the point of when you either view it or pause it or turn it off altogether. Is it that good of an idea? Do people actually want this? Is kind of a question I've had about this feature, and it's probably part of the reason why Microsoft hasn't really been advertising it all that much and hasn't really talked about it all that much. Because, first of all, quite frankly, I would go out and wager that a lot of the reputation and hype around the feature died out the second people took to Twitter and said, hey, there's a lot of issues with this thing. It's actually just a security risk. It was so much of a security risk that, if I recall correctly, the UK government actually launched an inquiry as to whether or not Microsoft is even able to do this in the UK market, which kind of goes to show just how not well taken this feature was. Um, so, is it anything anybody really wants? Is this like a genuine feature? Sure, I could see some use in it, but is it going to be used that much? See, the issue, and this is more my opinion, the issue with Microsoft right now is they tend to be launching a lot of half baked, kind of gimmicky features with their operating system. They wanted Copilot to be this huge, big thing that integrated into Windows perfectly. We haven't really seen that yet, have we? I mean, I haven't at the very least. And I mean, to be fair, I don't daily drive Windows right now. I daily drive Linux. And for a long time, I used Mac OS, but for a little bit, I decided to give Windows a little bit of a spin. I decided to go ahead and give it a try and see what they've done with it. I went ahead and installed Windows 11 on my computer, gave it a little bit of a look, and a lot of the AI features, even not even necessarily like Copilot Plus exclusive ones, like where you need like a specific PC to use it, just the AI features in general that they kind of hyped up, in my opinion, have been kind of half baked. There really isn't like much usefulness to them. The only real thing that's got going for it is Copilot, and even then, Copilot doesn't have any real good integration with Windows altogether, at least not right now. Maybe they're still working on it, but that would surprise me because they've talked about all these big integrations, all these big things that they were going to do with Copilot and Windows, but they still just kind of haven't. Copilot, sometimes Copilot isn't even like an app on Windows. It's just like a web app that opens up in like a little like Microsoft Windows window. Now sometimes you have to get like an update to get like the actual Copilot app, but regardless, the whole experience is just kind of broken, and it's not that good, and it's not that intuitive, and quite honestly, I never saw myself using it. If I wanted to talk with an AI, I always just kept going to like OpenAI or Google Gemini or like whatever, or like my own locally hosted, self-hosted AI that I run on my Mac. It's it just it was never that good of an experience. It just kind of feels like Microsoft keeps trying to hype these things up, but then they keep falling short. Kind of like Windows 8. Windows 8 was like hyped up to such a degree, and then it just fell from grace and just wasn't that good at all until Windows 10 came around, and Windows 10 was great because in Windows 8 they got rid of the start menu. On Windows 10 they brought it back. Everybody was so happy, and Windows 10 was great. And then Windows 11 came around, and it was all right, but there's so many things and so many features that were advertised for this operating system and still are that just kind of fell short. It just feels like Microsoft isn't that innovative right now. And then the features that are kind of innovative end up having so many flaws in them that, or just quite honestly, aren't even needed by people. Is, in my opinion, would I use recall? No, I don't feel like I need it. Maybe you guys have a different opinion, and I would love to hear what you think in the comments down below. But I feel like most people wouldn't want to use this either because one, they don't need it, or two, it's a security risk that they wouldn't be willing to take. Because having something record your computer 24/7 is, even if it's locally, that still feels scary to a lot of people. I don't feel like it's a feature that many people will end up wanting, even when this does hit general availability. Are many people going to use this? I feel like Microsoft right now, anyways, needs to focus on some of their other things that are kind of more important, like making Windows 11 just more of a fluent user experience, because Windows 11 lately has been riddled with issues. I feel like they need to divest more of their time into fixing just the operating system itself before getting into like these specific niche features that I'm not all too sure people actually want right now. But that's just my opinion. If you guys have a different opinion, I'd love to hear what you think in the comments down below. I would like to have a nice discussion about this. I think it would be interesting to see different viewpoints on this. That's about it for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care, you guys, and remember to stay safe out there.